I'm in Austin talking with Dan Katz, and you were speaking here this morning, and at the what is the full name of the conference?
Well, first of all, it's great to be back on the Kevin O'Keefe radio network. But we're here in Austin. Yeah, we're here at the American Association of Law Librarians, this is the event today for the law librarians that work in the private side of the market. Yeah, right. And so they have a summit every year, and this summit this year was very focused on technology and innovation. I talked a little bit today about data analytics and its applications to the future of law and legal practice.
One of the things that I was intrigued by was when you got to open source, and the concept being that software ought to be open rather than firms be using proprietary systems, and the expense and maybe the inferior quality of the software too. And I know your company has even released some things on one of its products into open source. Why don't you tell me about your philosophy with open source?
Sure. Yeah. So we're going to be releasing a large code base on August 1st called Contract Suite, and it's basically document analytics platform, but you can use with a very permissive set of licensing terms as an end user. So a law firm or a corporate legal department could use it free and clear. We're kind of modeling this off of Red Hat, and so Red Hat last year made $2.4 billion in revenue, and they give Linux away for free, but they sell services around that adjacent.
What's your software do? I mean, what's the underlying product?
The underlying product is to analyze contracts, say, in due diligence, or analyze other classes of legal documents like securities filings or employment manuals or other corporate policies. You basically can ingest a range of legal documents and do a range of things with it, but it requires some customization and configuration, and that's the part that we would provide services, or IT professionals in various organizations could take our thing and do the last mile, so to speak.
Right. The AI and artificial intelligence to me, is becoming a little bit of a highly charged word in legal.
I guess so. Yeah.
It could mean anything.
Yes.
Yes. I walk next to my car and it turns on. That could be artificial intelligence. The way
yes.
It suits. Is the type of product that you're coming out with in the open source, is that related to the AI concept or fall within that umbrella?
It is. No, it absolutely is. I mean, artificial intelligence is a very broad field with lots of different use cases. We're focused on analyzing documents, both their text-based documents and legal, so of a broad class. Although contracts is one of the signature use cases, so we call it Contract Suite. But we actually have broader visions in mind, and we're going to release this first code base on August 1st, and then we're going to go from there, and we're going to have a kind of public project plan where we sort of describe the steps that we're going to take to improve the product over time. We're hoping other users will contribute to the code base. Basically, the terms are very permissive. As long as you're not going to just take the item and try to put it back in closed source, you can use it perpetually for free. If you want to take it and use it in your own product, then you have to pay $1,000 a month. We're going to take half of that revenue and invest it back in the improvement of the product over time. Through something, we haven't set up all the details, but sort of like the Linux Foundation does in the kind of operating system world.
A couple more questions. One is, how do you think word's going to spread about the concept? Obviously, you've got some good bumps, even through LinkedIn, Twitter,
sure,
and whatnot, and your blog about being open source. What are the other things you're going to do to get developers involved in the open source?
We're still discussing some of the details, but we're hoping to have some user meetup groups where we expose people to what we've done and try to build a user base like has been done in many other languages and many other sort of even specialized tools. I mean, I think of the really big user bases like the Python groups and the Java groups and so forth. But that's kind of our hope, and we haven't sorted out all the details. But my hope would be sometime this fall for us to have a first sort of user group gathering, maybe in Chicago where I live.
Right. My gut tells me, as you were saying, talking to a law firm, and they were saying, should we be exploring open source, or should we be exploring proprietary platforms where you might go? What are the advantages of open source in your mind?
Well, I think for them, the challenge now is that most of the product offerings, I heard a managing partner say this once. Somebody had come in to pitch a product. I said, wait a minute, have us train your system using our experts' knowledge, and then you take that and sell it to all of our competitors. I think I'm not going to do that, actually. Right. So it is this, I think we have a logjam where if I bring them a product, they want to be able to use it in a way that might be their secret sauce is how they deploy this, or maybe something they strap on top of it. But then but the problem is all the other products, they have no way to own that. They're not the owners of it. They're actually the people training and improving somebody else's product. And I think a lot of them rationally would say, I don't want to do that. So this breaks the logjam in the sense that they can take the thing and use it and have it clear, free and clear.
Which is where you talk about the last mile, meaning that everything up to the last mile is all free.
Everything up to the last mile is free, and they can build the last mile themselves, or we can help them build the last mile. And because a lot of the problems, so like there's no like single contracts problem. Right. There's very specific contracts for very specific purposes, and generalized training of a system isn't going to work very well when you get into a specific use case, like hazardous waste disposal agreements, right. Or maybe an agreement over oil and gas leases of a particular type of oil and gas lease. Again, these things are super specialized documents, and so the last mile is going to be provided by the user with the most expertise. That isn't us, and that's not any other product. Who knows what? Only the expert in the field's or the experts in the field are going to know what the contours of that last mile are. And so I think we need a way to get those people empowered. So we're basically saying, here, we'll get you to 80%. You do the last 20%. Maybe it's 80, or maybe it's 90 or 10, or 50. I don't know. I appreciate
the analogy in the way you explained it. I mean, I'm sitting here with WordPress. People will say, what's the difference
right.
between what you're doing at LexBlog and WordPress? And I'm saying, well, nothing as far as the core.
Sure.
We'll take the WordPress core.
Exactly.
We'll go the extra mile, adding the things in it that tailor it to the law, and then provide the additional things
exactly.
you need.
So you're running a variable viable business under these parameters.
Right. And so, but it's a nice way to explain it. Why should you pay for the things that are free? You shouldn't.
You shouldn't, and I mean, I think with you, it's sort of, they could try to reproduce the types of things you've done, but it doesn't make sense because you're going to sell it to them for a price, but for a thing that's really law specific version of WordPress kind of.
Or you scale, and like you're like if you're going to do the last mile, you're going to do it in a way that scales. So it might be cheaper than they could do it on their own anyway. Right,
and I mean, we take this idea that we're going to create this menu of possibilities, and then they can pick kind of from the menu. So we're looking at a bunch of different like visualization tools, for example. So we think of the way a contract's shown to people today, but you could re-represent that in a bunch of different ways that would make it easier to actually find the information you're there for, or understand where the risks are, perhaps in this agreement. I mean, our hope is that many other people will contribute to this, and so that we can actually have a collective improvement of this class of legal information, because I think like there's been a lot of interest in blockchain and smart contracts. We need to fix the existing ones first. We're not maybe in parallel, but like we have this existing set of documents, and something needs to be done with them to make them amenable to these other types of approaches, which is where we'd like to go long term. Everybody, when you sort of see some of that stuff, you think some of the smart contracts and Internet of contracts and blockchain, you think, well, that would be a logical place to go, but then you go to the existing contracts, and you think, well, how are we going to bridge all of that into over here? And we've first got to have a way to analyze and structure all that information so that it has a chance of being slid over into this other column. I don't know. This is our hope.
Well, thank you. I'd like to get back to Chicago.
Okay, it's nice